We're the nightcap. We're the Land Geek guys, and we're on nightcap. Sorry.
Jesus, what's happening?
And I got a bad angle because I can't use my iPhone right now, so I feel like I'm in a bad angle right now. So don't judge me by my angle.
At least you clipped your nose hairs. You're good.
Oh, that's relief.
That's early. I like it. Let it begin.
Let it begin. How's it going, boys?
Good. Really good.
Good. We'll let the viewers pour in here because they pour in. It's like
I know, by the tens of thousands. I mean, it's basically like we're the 300, and the viewers are going to storm the city for sure.
And instead of yelling Sparta, we're going to yell, "This is Land Geek."
I love it. They are pouring in.
Terms deals.
As the viewers pour in, please say hello.
I got into a big argument with a guy the other day on terms versus cash. It was a very heated.
What side of the equation were you on, Matt? And tell us your position.
I was on terms, but he had, he had some valid points on cash, but he was going to quit the terms business entirely and just go to cash. And I'm like, what's wrong with you?
You don't want to do that.
No, you don't want to do. I'm like, you've worked for, however many years to get here, just finish outsourcing it and let it roll. Like, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, because, I had a conversation recently with a guy. He's like, listen, I did 80 cash deals last year. Do you know how exhausted I am?
Yeah.
He was exhausted. Now, if you have 80 terms deals.
Ooh, baby.
Ooh, baby.
Tommy won't wingy.
Can't hear you, Zano.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Nice mic, Mike.
Something about shaving your head?
You see what I did there?
I did. I liked it. The viewers got it. Both of them.
That was good stuff right there. KC Fanatic says hello. KC Fanatic, go Packers. That's what I have to say to you.
KC Fanatics. Does somebody in KC owe me 5 acres? I think so. I think KC Nation owes me 5 acres from back in the day. Just throwing that out there.
Who else is here? Please chime in and say hello. Well, Zano's got mic issues. Mike's got mic issues. Don't be like Mike. And what are we talking about today, guys? Oh, we had a topic, actually. We actually have a topic tonight.
Wow. Prepared.
Yeah.
I like it.
Forbes, you remember how you used to get mad at us for not being prepared?
Well, back in the day when I wasn't on the whole time, when you guys weren't prepared, sometimes.
Come on.
It was a little ugly early in the world there. I don't know if you were going to get picked up for season 2. Let's put it that way.
Not true. I mean, the robes themselves.
The robes were stellar, but the conversation.
Can you hear me?
Not really. We can't hear you. No, barely. I think I could hear you yelling from Haverhill.
I think you guys are just playing games.
No,
Haverhill.
You're
Haverhill.
Haverhill. Yes, that's how we pronounce it here.
Haverhill.
Nightcap testing 1.
Yeah, no, we barely can hear you.
You're like in a distant tunnel.
Yeah.
Any comments out there? Here's what we want to know this week. We want to know, hey, Carla. Nice to see you. We want to know how your land business is going this week. We want to know how many sales you've done. We want to know the numbers. And we want to know your struggles. And the Godfather's here. What's up, fellas? And he's got a question for you, Matt Forbes. How?
Yeah. It was a good 10 days, man.
How did you sell 24 properties in the last 9 days?
Well, most of them were yours, so we're okay. We found a little honey hole of buyers. We found people who wanted land, and we sold about of everything we had, and then we bought a whole mess of land arbs, and we sold out of those, and we bought more land arbs, and we sold out of those, and we bought more land arbs yesterday, and hopefully we'll sell out of those. So we're on this land arb tear, so that's good.
What's land arb?
Land arb is where someone doesn't sell it retail, but they do sell it on terms to me, and then I have a markup and I sell it, retail. So I typically buy for about $100, and I'll go sell for 188, maybe 200 for whatever the amount of months are. Sometimes I stick on a couple extra months. So if the land arb is 60 months, I might sell it for 65 and make the full amount for the last 5. But that's what you do. And so if you need land right now that you can just, because you have buyers lined up, land arb's tremendous. Or if you want to go into a new area, right? I went into 4 new areas with land arb because at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, if I can't sell it, then I will, give it back to the person I'm arbing it from. And that person totally wins because then I paid, 3, 4, 5 months on it, gave it back, and then he arbs it to somebody else. So everybody wins.
I was going to ask you what the best thing about land arb was, but I think you kind of described it. But if you had to name one thing, what is the number one best thing about you? Not being the person arbing to someone else, but you, the RB.
Access. Access. I sent 4 emails. I bought 10 properties in 2 hours, and then I sold all 10 properties in 72 hours after that. So I can't go mail and get all that back. It can't be done. So if you hit that, I hit a vein of people, and I got super lucky. People who want to buy land, and I need options, and I need it now. And so I went out and bought everything I could. I called everybody that I've known for the last 2 years in the land geek community, and I just started buying everything. So
how do you know it's a good land arb, Matt? How do you know what you're paying per month is a good payment? That might be a common question someone could ask if they're new to this. Like, how do I know I'm making the right payment and so I can make money? Like, what do you use as a metric?
Well, anything north of what I'm buying it for is a good day. So you definitely don't make as much as if you had bought it wholesale or if you had bought it through mailers, for sure. But you look at the pricing the same way that, you understand the pricing. You can go back and look for what other people are getting and figure out sort of what they bought it for and, what they're land arbing it for. People who will land arb you stuff will also usually wholesale it to you if you want. So if I know your wholesale price and I know your land arb price, I can back into what you bought it for. And then I just got to look at the market and say, well, it's sustain, something with these margins. Right now, to be fair, like we had a one woman already paid it off, so we had 10 grand in the bank, and we looked and we said, okay, we got 10.5 out of the deal, $500 down, $249 doc fee, so 11 and a quarter. But the land arb payment that's due all in was like $6,900, right? So it's not like I'm making the majority of the money, right? The person who has the land arb is, but 40% of a deal, if I can go get 25 deals in 10 days, is worth a hell of a lot more than 100% of no deals.
So it's sort of got a similarity to going out and getting funding from someone in a certain regard in terms of the return you're going to make, the percentage you're going to make. Because say you had done that and someone funded you, and on that same deal, what do you think you would have made in terms, percentage-wise? Would have been the same?
No, I would have made, if I had gone out and gotten funding, I would make a bit more, right? I loosely in my head, I feel like in most of these land arbs, I'm making 40% of the profit. Where if I had an investor, and I have a lot of investors, right? You're making 50, 55% of the profit, somewhere in there. So it's not as good as having that, but like when I snapped my fingers and had it.
It is sort of
interesting model.
Infinite return, right? I mean, it'd be quite the yield if you calculated that out, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, yield. Yeah. And that's where yield fails you, as we know. But no, that's it. It definitely fulfilled the need. I've used land arb before to test markets, right? So if you're thinking like, hey, I want to go to, wherever, Colorado or Florida or any of the other places, you can find someone like Kevin. Kevin's right now, hey, do you need more in New Mexico? Kevin, yes, I do. Right? So if I've never been to New Mexico and Kevin's got them and he's going to go charge me whatever wholesale for these properties, I assume New Mexico's, Luna and all that other area. So he's probably going to charge me, I don't know, $50-$60. And I'm going to go tell him for what, I don't even know because I don't know the area, right? I go run a gamble. What happens? It doesn't work for 4 months and I give him back and I'm out $500. Who cares? Right? It's the cheapest way to test a county that you've ever seen in your life.
Right, because if you love it, you can either add more or you could start a mailing campaign there.
Yeah, it's a great way to test. And like it always, my concern is people go, well, the guy who's land arbing expects you to pay for the full 60 months. Like the answer, like, no, they don't. Like it's really, like I'm very, very clear. Like if this doesn't work out, I'm going to give it back. But the people who have a lot of land arb are like, great. Why don't you go pay me on this for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months and then give it back? And then somebody else will go buy it for, maybe the whole time, maybe not. So people who do land arb, calculating that return is really, really hard because you do get a fair amount of them back, which is fine. Like they make a lot of money doing it. It's a good little niche in this business, and it helps newer investors out. I mean, I have 6 or 7 notes from when I first started that were all land arb. So since I don't have $100,000 in the bank, it's either going to be a little bit less on land arb with way less risk, or an investor where I'm on the hook for the money, and then the pressure is there. So, yeah, it's like, oh, New Mexico, like, yeah, what the hell, Kevin, why not, right? Let's pick up 5 of those, big boy. If it doesn't work out, after 3 months, I'm going to give it back, and I assume.
So I don't see the comment.
Like,
I'm assuming Scott, someone has offered him a property in New Mexico. Is that what's going on?
Yeah,
here?
Kevin Pierney's offered him property in Mexico.
Kevin's like, I got sticks in New Mexico. Kevin,
But here's what I think we need to do right now. Okay, now we're getting kind of technical. So somebody just chiming in. No, I'm just saying somebody chiming in for the first time is gonna be like, "What are you guys talking about?" Here's what we need to do. I think we need to raise our glasses to Matt Forbes because he had the best week in land investing. He's probably in the top 3 of all land geeks, I would think, in selling 24 properties. Zano's there. I'm sure Zano sells 24 properties in one day, but those are
24 by lunch.
I'm just kidding. But anyway, here's to Matt Forbes because
thank you.
I have this to say as well. Matt Forbes, I know because I've been on a similar journey as you, and so has Mike Zano. They're all different journeys, but they're very similar, right? That there are dips along the way. And there are periods of time where you want to throw your hands up in the air and say, why am I doing this? But what happened was you were very disciplined and consistent and determined and had the stick-to-itiveness to just do this day in and day out. And I think that you say it's luck, but I don't think it's luck. I think it has to do with the fact that you showed up every day.
No, this was luck.
Well,
I put myself in a position to get lucky, but this isn't like some grand master marketing plan where like I'm an evil genius. This was like dumb, stupid luck.
But you put yourself in that position. Right?
Listen, it's no different than saying you mail, and you uncover a huge bulk deal, and you could say, oh, I didn't do anything. I just mailed. That's all I did. Well, it's the same thing, Matt. You marketed consistently, and you uncovered something that netted a lot of sales. So I think that it's, how else? It didn't just like show up at your doorstep, did it? Or if it did, then let's talk about that.
No, it did. There's no.
So the buyer.
So all right, not me. It's just.
I'm still going to go with this.
It could have happened to any of us. I will say this. I will give myself credit for 2 things. One, right? I was working the business. So if I wasn't working the business, it couldn't happen, to your point, Scott. But 2, as soon as I smelled what was going on, I jumped freaking all over it. Basically did land full time for, 7 days, 9 days. So did my wife. We didn't see our kids. We ordered pizza every night. We worked like dogs, and we doubled our spread. Right? Yes. We doubled our number. We hit our year end. We were $2,000 over our year end number. Right? It's crazy. So I will say that we did a good job in that area. I smelled blood in the water, and I freaking pounced, big time.
Nice.
And Landarb made that happen.
So I'll bring up 2 points to this. One, I want to say you definitely earned it. I shouldn't say hate, but when people say, "Oh, you deserve this, you deserve that," I think it's better to reframe it as you earned something with the work you put in, rather than deserve it. I think that's an important distinction. I think you definitely earned it. You put the hard work in, and you earned it because you did at that moment, like you said, you were all in at that point. And it kind of reminds me of like, what did I pause there for a second? That was weird. So I can in my mind envision like back in the day, like way back, somebody out there, an operation where they're painting for gold or they're drilling for oil, and it's like same in. All of a sudden, boom, a vein hits, like you said earlier, and it's all hands on deck.
Oh yeah.
Like it's like we hit it. This is it. Let's roll. And and I think that's awesome to you that you actually, like you said, you recognized it and you were willing to capitalize on it. You didn't sit back and just sell a couple. You dove right in, all hands on deck. I love that.
Yeah, it was good. It was fun. We're trying to figure out how the hell we do it next week. We haven't figured that out yet.
So here's another shout out to a couple who are doing absolutely amazing in this business. Chad and Haley Swanson. They had 3 sales today. I don't know what that brings the number to, but you guys are killing it. They've only been in this business for maybe 5 months.
Nice.
What I do know about them is they've been very, very consistent with buying properties and how do they buy property? Well, they bought most of their properties wholesale. Again, that brings up the power of this community. How many of us on this call have bought wholesale in the last month? Me. Zano's sold wholesale probably, but it just brings brings to the forefront here the fact that we're in such an amazing community, like you were talking about earlier, Matt. It's right there if you need it. And then what do they need to do to sell all those properties on terms, which I think almost all of them have been on terms? They need to market. So let's just keep it simple here, folks. If you're consistent, it happens. And Matt Forbes, you were consistent. Your luck happened, but it happened because of your consistency. And we all come across these gold nuggets if we're consistent. It happens.
Yeah. Okay, let's not talk about me anymore. Weird.
Oh.
And I should say
it was a good intro to our show.
It was a good intro, and I should say also, let's say congrats to Ann, of course, because we know that she's like the magic behind the scenes.
She's upstairs. Looking at counties. She's upstairs looking at counties.
Oh, see, that's
building triangles, all bitter.
That's a very, very exciting marriage right there. Any questions or comments out there? KC Fanatic, I'm wondering if this might be Calix Gonzalez. Is this you? Just started mailing in flight school last night. Hoping to have some purchases and sales soon. So that's pretty cool. You just sent out your mailings last night with Scott Todd. That's week 3 of flight school. How was that call? I'm sure it was. I'm sure it was a little bit. Well, it was down to business, right? Like you go into flight school with Scott Todd, you're doing your homework. You're mailing by week 3. So that's pretty awesome. Not many people it's Darren Nichols. Darren, awesome.
Darren Nichols.
Darren,
are you a KC fan? Is that the deal?
He's got to be a KC. He's a KC fanatic.
You owe me 5 acres.
But congrats to you, Darren, for getting those mailers out there because you just started your road to consistency yesterday. You started your consistent. That's you don't have to get that. So anyway. Any other success stories out there? Zano, what are you going to say, buddy?
I have a question. How do you like the shirt?
Oh, come on. Did we have to go there?
The horse's ass shirt? I like it.
Yeah, that's right.
Whoa. See, that I didn't expect, Matt. Thank you. Matt just caught me off guard there.
What was the bet? The bet was what?
First, I'd like to give a shout out to the Hokinsons because they're the ones behind this merchandise and all of. Do we have a link, Scott? You're the link master. Are you? There's a link to the store, and all the money's all the profit goes to a Ball for All. It's an organization where they give soccer balls to kids around the world. They're indestructible, so it's for a great cause, and it's a great shirt. And if we sell 100 by boot camp, I don't have to shave my head. And I really don't want to shave my head. So I'm hoping that everybody else can see how wonderful these shirts are. And go ahead and buy some tonight. Heck, buy 10.
So here's the deal. I like kids. I have like a dozen. But I would like them to get the soccer balls. But I would like them to get the soccer balls after boot camp.
Oh, no,
I would like to shave your head. I would like to see that happen. So I want both. I want you to fail, and then I want the shirts to be sold to raise money for the soccer ball children.
But these shirts can empower you. These shirts are a reminder of the power of mentorship, the power of flight school. In fact, they should rightfully be called the Scott Todd T-shirt.
Oh, come on. Here we go.
Can you sort of stand up and can we see more of the T-shirt? All right. Yeah.
So what it is?
I like the emblem. I like the logo on the side of the sleeve. Oh. Crap.
I've heard me say it a bazillion. Even a small fly can go 1,000 miles on a horse's tail. That means even if you don't know much about something, if you surround yourself by people who are extremely successful, you too can become successful in that endeavor. And since we're talking land investing, that's what we're all about here. Going to flight school, going to some sort of mentoring program, and be a fly on Scott Todd's tail. I love it. Oh, look at how'd you do that?
How'd I do what?
Of my shirt. I stood up. I love it.
Oh, Mark beat me to the link. I was trying to find the link, so we're throwing the link up in the YouTube channel. Here, I'll get Facebook. So yes, and so all the proceeds go to charity, which is pretty awesome. Mark had an awesome T-shirt on yesterday that said "Grit" on the front, navy blue, white letters. Really,
yeah, that's available there too.
Really sharp.
Buy the Grit
really
ones
sharp.
after boot camp. Buy the horse ones prior to boot camp.
Dude, mine the dips. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That come in 5XL? Can we? What do we got for sizes?
Might be a slight upcharge.
Oh my God! It comes in 4XL. I might buy that shirt.
There you go.
I like it.
Yeah, you look good with Scott Todd on your shirt.
I think I look good with Scott Todd right behind me. There we go.
Yeah, you do.
So.
Oh boy.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. All right, that's my public service announcement done.
Yeah, your shameless plug, so you don't have to shave your head.
I'm not even sure that was shameless. That was just brutal.
No shame.
Yeah, there's no shame. All right, there's the link. I got it up. Awesome. Any other comments, questions, wins, struggles, concerns out there?
I want to hear the wins. Give me the numbers. I don't understand why people don't want to talk about their numbers. That's like the most fun thing to talk about.
Ryan Wagner's watching. Dan Jeskin is watching. Nice to see you, my fellow Wisconsinite. Haven't seen you in a while. Dan watched. I don't know. I know I'm murdering your last name, Dan. Watye is watching. Nat Pacheco's watching. Nice to have you guys watching on Facebook.
I'm glad you get to say the name Scott. Because I think by the third or fourth time you might totally get it. Keep going.
Oh yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. You're a funny guy.
Oh,
all right. We were going to talk about. You know what we were going to talk about tonight?
We had a topic.
Well, we can do it briefly, right? Okay, so this is inspired by a book that Mike and I are reading right now, Limitless by Jim Quick. Did you get that yet, Forbes?
Topic.
Yeah, I listened to the first couple chapters, yeah.
Okay, that's right. I remember that. So you were listening to that last week. So about how we're kind of all on this superhero journey, right? And in our superhero journey, we have all these villains. Well, if you think of the land investing business like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're on a superhero journey in the land business, really. I mean, you're starting out, 0 passive income, 0 deals, 0 mailers. You don't know what you're doing. And then you try to get to that like Superman Mark Podolsky status, right? Where you've done 5,000 deals. He's the Man of Steel in our community. Scott Todd's the Batman. Don't you think?
Yeah, if I had to think of a superhero, Mark, definitely Man of Steel, because I could see him with the glasses on and like.
Mm-hmm.
Scott Todd, Batman.
He's got to be the Batman because he's got the brains, man. He's got the brawn, but he's got the brains.
And he has the bat. Yeah.
And the bat. The Batman. So anyway, we aspire to be these superheroes, but you know what? They didn't get to that spot without having to fight their villains. And what are the villains in this land investing business? That's what we were going to talk about tonight.
That's right.
And then we had to talk about Forbes' 24 deals in 9 days. Of course, that's a superhero journey in itself.
I want to talk about that.
We're done talking about that, though. No more Forbes.
Please.
No more Forbes. So anyway, so what are the super villains? Let's just talk about it. Zeno, what do you think are some of the super villains in this business that you have to try to overcome?
Well, we say it all the time. Do you want me to say the acronym? Is it an acronym? Is that what that is? Or should I say it? I'll just break them down one at a time. The 3 that I always talk about, we talk about, but the nickname there.
Yeah, that's an acronym.
A friend of mine taught me this years ago. FUDs. They're the fears, the uncertainties, and the doubts. You know, the more and more I listen to this book, Limitless, the more I think about these common fears, uncertainties, and doubts, the more I realize they are the key. They are the reason why people procrastinate, the reason people don't take action, the reason why they think that they'd be more comfortable doing the same thing they're doing now instead of changing it up, because it takes an enormous amount of bravery and intention and action and all of these things to literally do something different than you're doing now, because whether it's good for you or not, it's pretty easy to just keep doing the same thing you're doing every day, right? I mean, that's just no matter who you are, right? But I think these are definitely villains. These fears, you know, that there's no more land out there. They must have all bought it. Uncertainties. I don't know if I can do it. These other people, there must be something special. I mean, there must be something special about that guy Forbes, other than he's 7 feet tall. There's got to be something special about him.
Very handsome.
And handsome. You know, doubts like I'm just not capable. I don't know anything about real estate, right? I mean, is this program real? So these things are going to definitely attack you. You try to tell your friends about it or your family. Hey, I'm going to go learn this new thing, and they're like, "What? Are you crazy? What? You're going to go buy land? Something?" You know, so you don't have a lot of allies, which we could talk about next. But I think the big thing that, some of the big things that are going to come at you right from the get-go, and believe me, they're real. They're like I know sometimes people relate to like dragons. These are like dragons. These things are real, and they are going to attack you. And if you're not strong enough, you could succumb to them. So you got to be brave here.
You got to decide, right? What are you going to do? You're going to keep going, like working to your 9-to-5 job you hate?
Right.
You're going to go take control of your life and let's go.
What was that decision moment, Matt, when you decided you were going to do this? Can you tell us, walk us through, what was there a moment you were looking at, and when was the moment you said, I'm doing this?
I was on Route 24, heading south, starving after an entire day of meetings in the office. Mike knows where Route 24 is, coming out of Boston.
Yep.
And I was catching the end of a podcast with Mark talking about going through a downturn, and in the end, not losing any money and still making money and keeping everything going and then taking off. And I had already tried something else in real estate, so I knew my wife was going to want no part of this because we had tried something and we couldn't make it work. And B, it was like, that's it. That's the thing. It's right there. That's it. It makes sense to me. It's low dollars to get into. It definitively works. It's super boring. I found out later, so most people quit. Perfect. All I got to do is outlast you, and I'm going to be able to quit my job. That's all I have to do. I got to do the basics, the fundamentals, and just outlast you, and I'm going to win. Yeah, I'm sold. I'm in. I went home, and then I didn't tell her for like 3 or 4 more weeks, and I was just like, planting seeds. Hey, let's watch this podcast, that kind of a thing. And then it was like, okay, we should do this.
It was like, what's on Netflix tonight? I don't know. Click, click, click. Out of passive income.
Who's this guy, Mark? What's up with that? Yeah. So, and she, we were doing something, whether she wanted to or not. She knew that, because we just can't go through life like this. Doesn't make any sense. And so I did flight school, and she wanted no part of it. And then when we went to our first live boot camp, that's where, it all changed, right? She was like, okay, I get I see what you see. Now let's go, change our lives at our pace, because we're going to go slower than the average bear, because, we got a lot going on. So, but I remember being in the car. I remember exactly where I was.
So
I can tell you where I was on 24.
So Matt Forbes, would you say that when you first started out on this journey that one of your supervillains was your wife?
Oh no!
Wow.
I'm trying to have fun here, boys.
Do I do that to him and his wife? No, I don't, because I'm a good guy and I'm a friend. That's the difference between me and Scotty Too Hottie.
I think given the opportunity, you might.
No, like my wife is awesome. I mean,
I love Ann. I'm
kidding. So, she was not an obstacle. Was I was going to boot camp without her, and me convincing her to go. That was one of the harder things I've ever done. But we finally got her there. She just needs a few minutes with Mark, and everything's fine.
God, why does that sound? It sounds sort of opposite to when I always hear Mark talk about the first time he saw you at boot camp, and it sounds completely opposite. It sounds like your wife's all in, you're staring at Mark going, I don't know. Even though you sold the property, or how many at that point?
I'd sold a couple at that. I think I'd sold 1 or 2 at that point, but no, I think like I tell Mark all the time, I just I'm very contemplative. I'm very quiet. I'm a thinker. I'm very quiet. I'm not. When I'm in a class, or like when I was in physical therapy school, I sat in the back. I was quiet. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I don't know. I just kind of sat back. I'm a thinker, and when I think, I cross my arms, and I kind of sit there, and I probably
intimidating.
And he thought I looked intimidating. I'm 6'4". I'm not 7'4" like Matt Forbes, but I'm a bigger guy, even though I look short on camera. And anyway, and my wife is just all, smiles to her ears. This is amazing, right? The whole weekend. So his perception was a little bit skewed because my wife and I we're kind of here. But then there's the balance, right? There's the Cobra Kai balance.
The Cobra Kai balance.
Yeah. So
Talk
anyway,
about villains. About villains, and you bring in Cobra Kai.
Yeah. No, but I think I don't know. I think so for me it was just I'm a very practical thinker. I think things through, and it wasn't that I didn't believe in the model. It's just that I was like trying to soak it all in. I'm just like very focused, soaking it all in, no emotion.
So Bosman, I'm the same way. When I'm like really, really focused on learning something, I do the exact same thing, except people know me, and they're like, "Why are you pissed off?"
Right, exactly. That's what they say to me too.
I'm just trying to learn. Like,
what's wrong? Aaron would say to me, "What's wrong, honey?" Nothing's wrong. Nothing's wrong.
Everybody missed that.
I don't have to be boisterous and loud and obnoxious. Sometimes I'm not that way. A-hole. Go away. I'm the same way. I get that all the time.
Scott, I got a question, Scott. So if we have these villains and we're trying to recognize, how does someone begin to realize that they can actually be their own superhero? Like, where does that inspiration come from?
Oh, that's a tough question. Where does the inspiration come from? Well, you have to have a strong why, like we have all had, right? And you have to have, I think in my mind, you have to have just kind of a wake-up call. You have to, like, have one of those moments. Matt, it was you driving down Route 24, right? Where you heard this and it clicked. Zeno, it was you, your buddy Jeff, telling you about this, and you didn't believe him at first, but then you went and observed him, and it was like, click. For me, it was like I was on a drive, right, from one clinic to another one, a 45-minute drive, listening to a podcast, and I just heard Mark on a podcast. I just had a feeling, and something clicked. I don't know. It was like this inciting incident that occurs that propels you to change, and you have to have a why. You have to have the belief. You have to stamp out these fears that we have, right? There's not only the fears, uncertainties, and doubts, but there's the fear of missing out. Like I talk to a lot of people all the time where they're like, listen, how many people has Mark trained to do this in the last 10 years? I don't know, 1,000 maybe? They're like, that's going to completely saturate the land market. No, it's not. The land market is so absolutely massive, you can't even grasp how massive it is.
It's a third of the country, and it's a big, big, big country.
Right. So there's that fear of missing out. People are like, "Oh, has this ship sailed?" So
yes,
you got
to stay out.
You got to put that to rest. So what I always do though is I just put faith in numbers, and I put faith in what I observe and the data that I can get. So early on when I was doing deals with the toolkit, 1 or 2 deals with the toolkit, I was keeping a very close eye on that Facebook group, watching what was going on. Oh, this guy's doing deals. This guy's doing deals. Where are they doing deals? Oh, look at that. And so it's a matter also of kind of collecting some evidence as you go and being objective about this. And I don't know, I don't know if that answers your question, Mike, but
I think it does. No,
Take it till you make it.
What's that?
Just take it till you make it.
I think
You don't have to do all that. That's the thing. Like, you did, but you don't have to. You just have to look around and go, these 40 guys are doing this, and it's working. They're all saying they're doing deals.
Well, okay, so let's
so
think of
can I. So let's go.
Let's make
that
another.
Guy says he knows what he's doing. They all say he knows what he's doing. The social proof is there. Let's go. And what happens if you fail? You tried something and it didn't work, and you blow a couple $1,000, and you probably own property somewhere.
Yeah.
That you could easily go sell to somebody else. Like it's all in your head. Just go. You gotta go jump.
You gotta jump.
Jump.
Can you,
Steve
Matt? I
Harvey.
need you to say one word for me
Yeah.
because I love when you say this word. Can you say demonstrably?
Onomatopoeia.
No. I love when you use the word demonstrably. How do you say that?
Demonstrably.
You say it all the time, and you can.
It's emphatic.
I love
It's
that word.
demonstrable that it works. There's no other word like it in the English language that I'm aware of. That might
Say the whole word then. I love it. Use it in a sentence. Land sentence.
The land business demonstrably works. It emphatically works. It absolutely works. It is what it is.
So this is
1
what
plus
creative.
1 is demonstrably 2.
I love it.
Mark Podolsky teaches people to do land works.
So this is what's so great about our community, is it is like the antidote or the opposite of all these fears, uncertainties, and doubts, because you're getting this constant proof of concept by listening and understanding that there's nothing unique other than the height of these two gentlemen. Other than that, they're just like everybody else. They might be very tall, but we're all basically just following a recipe. We're not unique in any sort of skill set that we have, other than we actually stayed focused long enough to get results.
I'm telling you, you just have to outlast the other guy in this business. I mean, truly, after doing this for 2.5 years and being moderately successful to moderately unsuccessful for a long time, I don't know what I would call it. I always made enough to pay for the business, right? But it wasn't until recently where I'm actually making like legit money at it. You just have to keep going. Just keep going. Like You'll get there. There's nobody who's been doing this business for 3 years who's not making, a decent amount of money up to a ridiculous amount of money. Somewhere in that zone, right? All you got to do is not quit and just keep mailing and marketing. That's it. That's all you got to do.
I love it.
Put one thing on your list to do every day. Mail 20 offers. Check it off your list. You're going to buy property.
My 2 kids came down this morning and they said, my 13-year-old who has $49 in the bank and my 11-year-old or my 12-year-old who has $1,800 in the bank because they reply to all my Facebook posting and one spends money and one doesn't. And they said, we want to go, you said you would mail and we could buy the property and then we'll go sell it and keep the money. And I was like, yeah, I remember saying that. And they're like, we're ready to go. We want you to go mail. And I'm like, okay, what do you want to mail? And they go, we want you to mail an X. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, will we sell it? I'm like, you guys sold my last ones. What do you think? They're like, yeah, it'll work. You mail it, we'll buy it, we'll make the money, and then we'll get the money. And then the money goes. Like reinforcing I don't get the money. And I'm like, listen, it's yours. I go, but let me ask you a question. What are you going to do with the money? And my 12-year-old is immediately like, well, then I'm going to mail. And I'm like, okay, you're excused from this conversation. You may go. I'm like, my 13-year-old, what are you going to do with it? And he goes, well, I really wanted to buy this video game console, blah, blah, blah. Because $600 freaking
PS5
which he would make in a week if he could buy a property in this place. He goes, but I think I want to mail. I think I want to go. If I could invest that in, then I would have twice as much. And I'm like, oh, look at you. Look at you.
Look at you.
Starting to learn. Look at that. So I bought him Richest Man in Babylon. I'm like, I'll mail, but you have to read this book. He's like, okay.
Nice.
Very nice.
Proud Papa Day.
That's awesome. Richest Man in Babylon. I haven't read that one yet. It's going to be next on my list.
You do not need to read that book.
I don't?
Excuse.
You know what I am reading right now, though, that I'm enjoying, is The Go-Giver.
Good book.
Recommended by Mike Zano. So I appreciate
It is a
that.
good book.
Why don't I need to read The Richest Man in Babylon?
It's a parable for, not for kids, but for anyone who doesn't understand money. Your money has children, and the children of their money has more children, and that's compound interest, and that's how you eventually become rich, by investing your money and continuing the cycle. Right? Now you've read the book.
All right, I'll have my kids read the book.
I would have your kids read the book. Yeah, I'm having my kids have to read that, and then later this coming summer, I have to read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've got a whole series of books lined up for them.
Nice.
But by the way, they can beat you playing cash flow they can get out in cash flow into the big deals like in 20 minutes. It's crazy. When we have other adults in our house and they come over and they start talking about money, my kids school them in money, and they're 12.
That's awesome.
Like, you can't say that to other adults. They don't know what you're talking about. They think you're crazy. And they're like, no, but that's not an asset. That's a liability. I'm like, no, honey, it's okay. They just don't get it. Just don't.
I was confusing that book with a book that I really enjoyed, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I don't know why The Richest Man in Babylon I was confusing it with. Have you ever read that book?
No.
It's a really cool
We
book.
should probably read that book.
Yes, you should. KC Fanatic says The Wealthy Gardener was so good. One of the best I've listened to.
I've never heard of that, but I imagine I understand what that's about. That would be a good one. For sure. By the way, I was the number 1 sales guy in Q3 in my real company, so, not my worst day.
Dang! Forbes, you've had a good month. September's been good to you.
Yeah, September didn't suck.
Well, with that being said, guys, any other questions out there? Any other comments?
I don't think we talked about land enough. We didn't answer any questions.
Yeah, the audience is quiet tonight. I don't know. Sometimes we get a lot of questions.
You know what I miss, Scott?
What do you miss?
And you've done this here and there, and you do it such a great job. It reminds me of like the David Letterman show when you have the cards and you whip them. Like, I miss that.
I know, right? Can we do an old school nightcap next week and do the robe and swivel, please?
Will you do the card flipping?
Yes.
All right. And now it's time for the and you throw it.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, we've really become boring, haven't we?
Yeah.
Kind of a boring episode, but it's better. Like, I want to know your deals. What'd you buy it for? What'd you sell it for? What was your down payment? Oh, by the way, on Landarb,
Yeah.
10 grand in down payments.
What's that?
Excuse me? What?
I'm sorry?
10 grand. 10 grand in down payments.
Nice.
Yeah.
More
My
than that.
Stripe was like, excuse you, what are you doing? We were doing $500 downs. And they were just flying. So even though I'm not making that much on the monthly, like the down is so $750 a property on almost all properties.
Bet that changes your yield.
Right, for the record, if you have a $500 down payment with a $249 doc fee, and you do 10 of those deals a month, so 2 a week, you make $90,000 in down and doc fees. $90,000. So if you wanted a land arb, 10 deals a month, just 10, 2 a week, right? 2 to 3 a week. That's just in the down payments, which is nutty. That's nutty. So just FYI. I was shocked. I was like, I think Stripe, I looked at it and I go, I think Stripe screwed up. I'm like, wait, give me my calculator. And I did it. I'm like, oh no, it didn't. That's real. Yeah, it's a weird thing. We've always done lower downs, and it makes a significant difference. So if you're thinking about land arbing, I recommend a higher down payment.
Were you making fun of me last week for saying higher down? Just because sometimes it works. Pretty sure.
I don't remember specifically making fun of you for that. But if we add up all the minutes where I do make fun of you, it could have slipped.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a question.
We don't doubt that it happened.
Here's a question from Frank Leah. All right, here's a good question. Frank has the toolkit. He says, I've been working on obtaining this property from someone since May. So June, July, August. So 4 months. And she's either not answering my calls or states her son needs to approve of the deed. What do I do in this situation? Mike Zano.
You keep mailing and realize that's either going to come to fruition or it isn't, but you don't sweat it. There's so many deals like that just, that's just the way it is. That's why we just keep mailing and keep acquiring properties, and that just becomes another one in the queue, and it may come through or it may not, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah, if that's the only deal you're trying to buy, it means everything. But the reality is, your likelihood of getting that deal is probably not that great, given it's taken so long. And so, if you were mailing more and had better deals to choose from, you wouldn't choose that deal. Right, so that's part of the deal. But if you're newer, then that's just part of it. Right, is you have to sort of learn that one the hard way. That you can't chase that stuff too hard. It's just not worth it. Right, you can't force somebody to sell you their property at a ridiculously low price. Either they want to or they don't. It is what it is. You can't force someone to buy a property. Either they want to or they don't. It's not like it's good for them or it's any of these things. Like, either they have a passion for it, they want to do it, or they don't, and it's fine either way because other people will. So I would try. I would call. For the record, I doubt the son has anything to do with the deed. Be my guess, right? Unless he's some kind of a lawyer or something like that. But I wouldn't sweat it. I'd put one more call out. I'd let it go to the universe and hope.
Here's another thing that Mike, I think you've tried. I've never done, but. You every once in a while you come across a situation where you want the deal, the deal's a good deal, and for whatever reason, the person kind of falls off the radar. Maybe they ghost you. Maybe something came up in their life. Maybe they got sick and went into the hospital. You don't know. They just didn't show up. Why don't you do this? Why not just send them a deed in the mail and say, go get this notarized and send it back to me if you still, in fact, want to go through with the sale, and I'll have a check to you in a couple days.
I think it's a great idea. And I first heard that. Huh?
What?
Nothing. I love you. I think it's a great idea.
But I've never done that, but I've heard Scott Todd talk about doing it. That kind of gave me the idea. So I think that it's totally legit, because you think about it, someone that could be like if someone responds and they don't give you their contact information yet they accept the offer, because that does happen, right? So an option is just send them the deed.
Yeah.
There you go. You accepted. We concur. Here's a deed. Sign it, and we'll finalize the process. But the real thing here is that sounds like that's probably not going to work out. It's like sort of like when you keep asking that girl out in high school, and it's like, oh, well, they got all this excuse after excuse. At some point, you got to be like, it's probably not going to work, and it's a heartbreaking thing. It really is. And I'm saying it in a funny way, but back in high school, that's legit. Some serious feelings that, are hurt there. But this deal, when you knew the land investing, it sucks. Let it go. But you can't force it. You just got to keep mailing.
Wow.
So Frank goes on to say, the son has no connection.
No, this is awesome. I was going to say, some guy's hurting inside, and we need to talk after this call.
No,
I mean,
no.
there are clearly some demons that are bringing this analogy to the surface.
Yeah.
Let's
I
talk.
wear my heart on my sleeve my whole life, so I've had my feelings hurt at one time or another, Scott. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it at all. In the same way.
Okay.
Yeah, buy shirts. No,
By the way, I bought two.
Huh?
I bought two for the next boot camp.
Of this?
Hell no. Are you kidding me? Why would I do that? I want to see you shave your head.
Yes.
Was I not clear?
We, Matt Forbes and I, will buy every other shirt times 5
Yes,
to see that happen.
We will go buy a wholesale deal, sell it for cash, take the winnings, and buy all the other shirts. Just so you have to shave your head. I would do. I don't know, Bosman. I would do that. That sounds like a good use of my time. Because I love you, deep down inside. Okay, so Frank goes on to say, the son has no connection, but she always states when she does answer, so she does answer sometimes, that she wants to sell it, and I have sent the deed. She sent it to her son in another state for him to look at. LOL. Well, yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't let my mom sell her property to you, so maybe I'm just like, I don't know.
You know what, Frank? First of all, kudos to you for sticking with this, because
persistence.
It speaks to that persistence and that stick-to-itiveness that you need in this business. But it comes to the point where you have to kind of sit down and say, okay, is my return on time invested good on this deal? And it may not be. So you know what? Send her one more deed and say, when you're ready, I'm here.
Well, the other thing too is, what we do with my intake manager, it's like if someone is expressed interest in selling, and it's like, okay, you're going to call them every day until they answer. And I'm not calling them, but every day you call until you get the answer. And eventually maybe something will happen, but it doesn't matter. I'm not doing it. So Frank, you get someone to do it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or you just send her a letter in 3 months. I mean, look, it's been 4 months. No, never. Mail to other people and move on.
Awesome. All right, guys. Hey, well, we're coming up on an hour. Let's should we retire till next week?
Yeah.
Yeah. We need to do a deep dive into Mike's psychosis. So, yeah.
Right. Next week, let's come with all of our heartbreaks from high school, and we'll talk about those.
Just give me your deals. I want to see your numbers. Your numbers.
I love you, man.
Keep me going. Shaving Mike's head is why I come back. I don't know about you. That's
I
why
can't
come back.
imagine that Mike Zano ever had girl problems. That's all. I mean, it's,
This guy with those tattoos?
I can't even imagine that guy having girl problems. And on that note, cheers to you, Mike Zano, and your future shaven head.
I can't wait to see it. I want all the way. I want Bic. I don't want like, oh, I left it lit. No, like bald, baby. Come on.
Since we're talking about all these girls, I just want to say I love you, Laura.
Aww, that's sweet.
I have no heartbreak in my life now. I'm talking in high school.
That's
when
what I'm
people
yeah,
sensitive.
but we all have
You know
wounds.
what's awesome is that his whole night just took a weird left turn. That's awesome.
We love you, Laura.
Who doesn't love Laura?
All right. Good night,
All right,
everybody.
we're out of here.
We'll
Peace.
talk to you soon. Later.